So last time I went into the Navajo code talkers a bit, and you might recall from that a quotation about why it was so easy for them. That the Navajo language was not written down, it was strictly oral. Remembering what one was told then was something cultural, the role of memory vital. That's the reason that Albert opens the episode as he does.
There is an ancient Indian saying that something lives only as long as the last person who remembers it. My people have come to trust memory over history. Memory, like fire, is radiant and immutable. While history serves only those who seek to control it, those who would douse the flame of memory in order to put out the dangerous fire of truth.
At the risk of turning this into a rant, this is one of the reasons why cultural destruction like Voyager contributed to is so very wrong. You have genuine cultural aspects such as these being drowned out by romanticism and falsehoods. This is not some superpower, and it's not some consequence of oneness with the earth or any stupid bullshit like that. It's simply a language and culture that emphasize these traits, something which should be admired for its accomplishments and respected for its unique contribution to the tapestry of humanity, because they are, in the end, just as human as the rest of us, with all that that implies. I don't just mean that they should be respected as being fellow humans, but I mean we should also give them enough respect to recognize that they're just as fallible as us, too. One of the things that I didn't mention to you about the Navajo code talkers was their term for Japanese. It translates as slant eye. Besides romanticism removing actual culture and replacing it with a fiction, is the fact that you are not treating people as people. You may think it's coming from something positive, but what you're actually doing is reducing people to the status of some mythical creature, because human beings aren't perfect. And if you say that these people are, you are unintentionally declaring them something else, some kind of an elf or an angel, instead of a human being, capable of everything that we all are, the greatness and the things that we should be ashamed of. Of course, there seem to be some people who insist on proving, no, we are indeed the biggest assholes on Earth. Scully shows up aghast at the aftermath of this and horrified to learn that Mulder was probably torched. After the truth is out there, Scully has a run-in. It may seem like overkill using a helicopter, but they take expired license plates very seriously in New Mexico. They take the hard copy that was being translated, but she doesn't have the tape, so they leave her to go back to Washington and face the music. She's basically fired in every way but actually being called fired, and in private, Scully lays into Skinner that he has no idea what is really going on and will never find out who was drugging Mulder or who murdered his father. The people who do those things are the same ones who just railroaded her. He's just blind to reality. In his defense, it's a bit much to take on board. It's one thing to know that Mulder has made a few high-level enemies, another to believe there's some shadow conspiracy at the heart of everything. Besides, Scully seems to have underestimated everybody else since the tape has been stolen from where it had been stashed, and she's shocked. I mean, yeah, there's a group out there conspiring with aliens and perpetuating a half-century-long deception to the entire world with limitless resources and no moral limits, but I wouldn't think them capable of carefully searching a desk. Cigarette Smoking Man is uniquely equipped to blow smoke up the asses of the rest of the cabal about the tape and telling them that Mulder is dead, so stop worrying. But things are not that clear-cut, as Albert explains.
The buzzard is a large but cowardly bird. It does not work for its prey, letting others provide the kill. When I see them circling in the desert, this can only mean that something has died and they are going to pick its bones, or that death is close and they are waiting for it to do its work for them.
Eventually he'll explain. Apparently this is a nature documentary for the frickin' stupid. They find Mulder near death and bring him back, so it's time for a ceremony. There has been some criticism for inaccuracies around the Navajo in Anasazi, such as Albert approaching the dead body without performing a purification ritual first, so some of those experts advised on this episode. The Navajo stuff, I mean. Alien corpses probably falls outside their area of expertise.
Only the holy people can save the FBI man's life now. He is in their hands.
So we made a salad out of him. They even created these nifty things with a sand painter. Took all day to do that. I could never do it. I tend to sneeze a lot. One of them would murder me after the first hour. Mulder winds up floating in limbo, where he gets a visit by Deep Throat, who pontificates for a while until he decides to share a flashback of that train car and how Mulder survived. There was a hole back there. Originally, the bad guys just dropped in some airborne cyanide to poison them all while they tried to escape. Breathing cyanide is the fastest way to kill with it. I'll be back later with another fun fact. Mulder's dad shows up next to talk about the secrets and lies and all of that, and says that Samantha isn't here, meaning either that she's not dead, or that she is dead and couldn't be summoned by this ritual, or that this is all just in Mulder's head and not actually happening. I mean, he's been drugged, shot, set on fire, crawled through corpses, baked in the desert, and is now wearing a bush for a shirt. It's entirely possible that he's out of his gourd. If half that stuff happened to me, I would be expecting the ridiculous at that point. You know, like waking up in the morning and seeing Waldo sitting in the chair in the corner watching me sleep, tapping his fingers together and looking at me like Mr. Burns. I understand you were looking for me. How the worm has turned. Back in Washington, Frohickey swings by Scully's place half drunk, and we should probably round up there. He says the thinker is dead and shows her a newspaper clipping that says that he was killed execution style. Though I still don't think we can't rule out an accident that he killed himself with. I mean, despite the name, this guy is not the sharpest knife in the drawer. He probably thinks that Einstein's famous relativity equation is E equals McDouble. What's significant about this death, though, is that it occurred after Mulder was dead, or so they thought. So Scully heads back to the FBI to show it to Skinner in the hopes that they could match that bullet to the one that killed Mulder's dad. But he says that if they matched, then it would pop up. But until then, he's got other things to do, like search Scully's place for a digital tape, which he finds confusing. Seems he was pressed into that one by the cigarette smoking man. But the bigger concern right now is Scully setting off the metal detector. She's not trying to smuggle anything in like you might have thought, so she's really confused by this. It's genuine. So they look her over and they find out that the source is in the back of her neck, and when it's removed, it's some kind of microchip. They want to have some more x-rays. Who knows what else you're hiding in there. Maybe that's where the tape wound up. Her sister has a thought on that.
What are you so afraid of, Dana? You afraid you might actually learn something about yourself? I mean, you are so shut off to the possibility there could be any other explanation except for your rigid scientific view of the world.
Have you even given any thought to crystals or balancing your chi? I didn't think so. No wonder you were abducted. I have a spinal alignment and a colonic once a week, and I have never been abducted by aliens. Not once. Yep, we've got an American Indian ceremony, conspiracy theories, clueless hackers, repressed memories, and DAT tapes. This could not be more 90s unless we threw an ace of base playing over a presidential blowjob. So Scully is put into hypnosis, and what's funny is that Scully had mentioned that very often the ones doing this will wind up asking leading questions or even making statements to direct what the person is going to respond with. In other words, manufacturing the testimony by suggesting things to them.
That I would die.
But you didn't die. Someone must have cared for you. Do you remember who that someone was?
You know, like that.
They wanted to know if I was all right.
Maybe you trusted them not to hurt you. Could this be possible?
I don't know.
At the FBI, you work with people you must entrust with your life. Could it have been one of these people?
Would it be easier if you just wrote it all down for her to say? She comes out of it in a panic.
I don't think we're getting anywhere. Thank you, but you'll have to excuse me.
No problem. That will be $5,000, please. Compared to that, Albert's ceremony looks like something the Mayo Clinic would do. Speaking of which, Mulder seems to have recovered.
To end the ceremony properly, if you leave, you must not do any work, change clothes, or bathe for 4 days.
No problem. I was planning on doing that anyway.
We are done now.
It will be $5,000, please. Back in Washington, Scully calls up Skinner to ask why she saw him leaving her place when she came back from the hypnotherapist. But he plays dumb, so Scully's going to have to get help elsewhere.
I have been on the bridge that spans two worlds, the link between all souls by which we cross into our own true nature. You were here today looking for a truth that was taken from you. A truth which was never to be spoken, but which now binds us together in dangerous purpose. I have returned from the dead to continue with you, but I fear that this danger is now close at hand, that I may be too late.
Oh, remember to write that one down. You'll need it for your dream interpreter at 10, followed by your astrologer at 11, your aromatherapist at 1, your spirit medium at 2, and your reflexologist at 3. Well, she attends Mulder's dad's funeral to pass along to his mother that she thinks Mulder is still alive, though it's just intuition, she admits. But what should be making her spider sense tingle is the presence of a new character called Well-Manicured Man. Look, I don't name them, don't ask me. If I had my way, I'd call him Mr. Grey Poupon Esquire. He's part of the syndicate. We'd seen him earlier, but he's here to speak to Scully, to warn her that she's in danger. And he's not pulling any punches either. He flat out admits to the conspiracy and to Mulder being dead. Well, they were all certain of it.
Your life is in danger too.
Leave me alone.
They'll kill you one of two ways. They'll send someone, possibly two men, kill you in your home or in the garage with an unregistered weapon which will be left at the scene. Using false documents supplied by associates of mine, they'll be out of the country in less than 2 hours.
Or it's half off. The other possibility is sending someone she knows and trusts to kill her, because the cigarette-smoking man has so much influence. You know, the more I'm saying these names, the more they're starting to sound like a really crappy team of superheroes, don't they? Oh, look, the criminal is getting away! Cigarette-smoking man, do something! Not to worry, I know just what. Maybe someone else should catch him this time. I'll sit this one out. But yeah, they're going to kill her off. They don't want her poking around any further, and they believe her when she says she doesn't have the tape. Hell of a time for someone to give you the benefit of the doubt. He's here because he thinks it's a mistake to kill her, and he doesn't want any blemishes on the record of their society of evil. Mulder meets with his mother, letting her know that he is indeed alive, and asking what his father used to do, really. Who are the men who are with him in those pictures? We can recognize both Deep Throat and Well-Manicured Man in one of them, so this is what we call in the business a clue. While he goes to pursue that lead, Scully gets a call from her sister because she didn't follow up on what happened with the hypnotherapist and wants to come over and talk about it. But a mysterious call prompts her to leave and tell her sister to meet at her place, only Skinner's outside, and Scully remembers someone she trusts may kill her. They head to Mulder's place instead then, since he's dead and not using it at the moment, but Scully gets the drop on Skinner.
Don't think I won't do it, you son of a bitch.
If you're wrong, this is really going to look bad at your reinstatement review. And yeah, she is, because her sister gets shot in the back of the head by Krychek back at Scully's place. Skinner, on the other hand, approached Scully because he has the tape, but she doesn't believe him. So when she's distracted by someone at the door, he pulls his gun on her, leading to our second cliffhanger. What will happen? And who's at the door? Did Mr. X finally show up? Is Mulder back from the dead? Or has his landlord finally just had enough? The answer comes tomorrow.
buzzard is a large but cowardly bird. It does not work for its prey, letting others provide the kill.